Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about crochet hook size, and does it really matter what size hook I use with this yarn? Well, let's take a deeper dive into the different hook sizes. I have 6 different hook sizes in front of you, pretty much the most commonly used, and one of which is the suggested hook size for this yarn. This is all the exact same yarn. The yarn that I'm using today is Premier Fable, and it is in the colorway Princess and the Pea. All right, so on the back of the label, it tells us that it is a lightweight number 3, a DK. And it also gives us if you wanted to make a true swatch to check to see, it tells you the dimensions and how many rows and all of that. But within that, it tells us that it recommends using a 4mm or US 6 set of needles, or for crochet, a 4mm US G. So that's what I have in front of us here. Is one of these is the proper size hook for the recommendation on the back of the label. So it comes in skein form. Skein, say it how you will. But I went ahead and I worked up 6 different swatches, different types of hooks, and different name brands, different sizes. The very first one I have here is a 3.75mm crochet hook. The next one is the recommended size, and it's a Furls resin hook. The first one was a Boyd. The next one is the recommended size hook, and it is the Furls resin hook. The next one I did was a 425, so a 4.25 hook. And that is also a Boyd. This one is a no-name hook, but it is a 5mm crochet hook. It's just not a named hook. And it's very similar to your Boyd. So that is a 5mm. This is a 525, so just a little bit bigger millimeter crochet hook. And it claims that it's an I hook. This is a J hook, a 6mm crochet hook. So I'm going to tip you over the top, directly over the top. And you can see the size difference between all of them. Now the top row center is the suggested hook size. But that's the suggested hook size for whoever, just for that yarn. However, tension is going to play a huge part in whether or not that hook size is meant for you and that yarn. So if you crochet tight, your project may end up as small as this 375, and you're wondering, well, why isn't it this big? That's because you are a tighter crocheter, and you would need to adjust how many stitches you use or go up in hook size. Now you can also see the difference in the type of fabric that it creates. This at the largest hook size, size 6, is very open, where this at the smaller hook size is not so open. It's more of a dense fabric. It's very thick. That is part of tension as well. So when you are very, very tight crocheter, your stitches will be a lot tighter. Your fabric is going to be tighter. It's going to be smaller, and it's going to be more dense, the fabric itself, versus a loose crocheter who may have this more open fabric. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because say you started a project and you were in a very good, happy mood space, and you were just crocheting along and everything was going nice and smooth, and it's looking like this number 6 hook, or this 6mm crochet hook. It's looking like this, and it's just amazing. It's working up so smooth, so fast, and you set it down, and a couple days later you are just on edge. You are irritated, annoyed, one of those days, and you just want to go be by yourself and crochet. So you pick up that same project that you were working on, same hook, same project, and all of a sudden it's like a fraction of the size of where you started a couple days ago. It shrunk in as you are working, and you start vigorously counting your stitches, wondering what in the world is going on. And your stitches are the same. And I say this because I was just recently here. This is a situation I just recently went through, and I ended up having to frog out. So 2 days were wasted. All the crocheting the one day, ripping it out and recrocheting it the next day. It's understandable when you are frustrated, your stitches are going to be a lot tighter. So please keep that in mind when you're working on a project, and say you're working on 2 sleeves and one seems to be different than the other and you don't understand why. A lot of times that has to do with the tension not just in our stitch, but the tension we hold in our shoulders and in our neck when we're stressed out, or how relaxed we are when we're happy and in a good mood, or everything is pleasant. That is part of your tension. And again, like I said, this recently happened, and I thought that it was a good thing to bring up for the rest of you, to show you the sizes and the different hook sizes with the same yarn, and we'll get into measuring them as well. All right, so let's go ahead and take the measuring tape to each one of these. Now we're going to start with the 6 and set them one on top of each other as we go. So let's move our 6mm crochet hook. Now this is 11 stitches wide and 6 rows high. And I have just over 3¼ inches in width and 3½ inches in height for the 6mm DK. Now if I do the 5.25mm, and this is all US terms, I have exactly 3 inches wide and just barely over 3 inches in height. So let's set that one on top of this one. We'll even it up on the bottom. How about that? There we go. We'll even it up on the bottom. All right. Next up, we have our 5mm crochet hook. And we are at 3 inches wide again, just slightly under it. Just slightly under it. And then in height, we are at just slightly over 3 inches, basically 3 inches. So let's set that one on top, line it up. It's pretty much the same size, the 5mm and the 525. All right, move that over, bring this one down. This is the 4.25. Yeah, 4.25. All right, 4.25mm coming right up. This is 2 3/4 inches wide and 3 inches in height. Sorry, I'm out of frame here. So 3 inches in height. So same height, a little bit narrower. Set that one on top. We'll bring the 4mm down. The 4mm is roughly just over 2.5 inches in width and just under 3 inches in height. Let's line that one up. There we go. And our last one here, which was the 3.75. So it's 2.5 inches wide and 2.5 inches in length. Set that up there. And we'll bring that back. So you can kind of see, I lined them all up on the bottom. For the most part, they're slightly different. There are some that are really close or right about the same, but the height right there between the 6 and the 3.75 is a lot. There we go. Now all of these were done in one setting. Let me scoot them over to one corner here, just so you can get a different look. Here we go. So that's all in one corner. And there you go. You can see the difference there. And I did those all in one setting, all with the same mood, all with the same tension. The only thing that changed in this stack was the hook size, not the yarn, not my mood, nothing, just the hook size. And that shows you the difference and why it's important to know what it looks like in each of the sizes that you would use or gravitate towards frequently. Because if I do, say I do a hat in a 4mm crochet hook, and the fabric turns out like a 6mm crochet hook for you. That's the difference when you are working up someone's pattern and it comes up to a different size. A lot of that has to do with your tension and how tight or loose you crochet. And if yours comes up larger, you might need to drop down some hook sizes. If yours comes out smaller, you might have to increase some hook sizes. So with that all being said, as I said, the reason I wanted to do this is because I recently ran into this situation where I was aggravated. It happens. It happened to me before several times. This just happened to be during the time that I was going over colors and textures and different things. So I thought hook size and tension would be another good one to address, and just remind everyone that relax and enjoy the process. If you're upset and you're crocheting, to relax. When you pick the project up again, know that your tension might be different, very different. A lot of folks do swatches. Swatches are great if it's a one-day project, because if you start working on it and you're in a happy-go-lucky mood, your stitches might become more loose. Or quite the opposite if you are a little grumpier one day. And that was the point that I was trying to get at. With the hook size does make a huge difference, but so does mood and your tension. Please keep that into consideration when you're working on your next project or the current project, and kind of keep an eye out on yours and see, hey, wait a minute, was I in a good mood that day? Because I really, really like how that turned out. Or was I in a grumpy mood and that project was better to be done in amigurumi or something because I was just super tight crocheter? Let me know down in the comments section, have you ever run into one of those hiccups where one end of your Afghan is smaller than the other and you just don't know why? And you finally figured out that all the stitches are the same. It was just you picked up the wrong size hook and started again. Or you were in a different mood by the time you finished it from the time you started it. Let me know down in the comments section. I'd love to know your stories on your tension and hook size experiences. We all have little bloopers in life, and I know I've had plenty of mine. All right, everyone. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. It's just a simple point of view and thought process that I wanted to share with you due to my recent experience, once again, in this lovely yarn life. But be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, bye for now.